So tonight I am presenting on reimagining the design of the art history survey course. So for my agenda, we'll be covering the introduction, of course. We'll focus on four main topics: the current state of art history survey courses, the rationale for a chronological approach, the course design process, anticipated outcomes and revisions, and my conclusion. So traditional Western-focused art history survey courses limit students' exposure to the art and architecture of Africa, Asia, Central and South America, and Oceania, which is a good chunk of the globe. So the traditional Western-focused art history survey course or courses are typically split into 2 semesters. The first semester focuses on prehistoric through Gothic art, and the second semester focuses on Renaissance through contemporary art, so up to and through today. While most current art history survey courses claim a global focus, the Western focus is still present with the art and architecture of Africa, Asia, Central and South America, and Oceania being given less than a third of the focus given to Western art. In order for these art history survey courses to be globally focused instead of Western focused and offer a more inclusive perspective on art history, they need to be redesigned to possess a chronological design approach versus the traditional regional/chronological design approach, which will make a little bit more sense here in a moment when I show you a course outline example. The chronological design approach gives equitable weight to the art and architecture of the world, while the regional chronological design approach gives increased weight to Western regions, and those regions considered to be predecessors of Western art and architecture, such as Egypt, which receives more focus than the rest of the other African countries combined in the first semester art history survey course, which is prehistoric through Gothic art. Thus, a chronological design approach to art history survey courses can provide equal weight to the art and architecture of the world and enrich student understanding of global art history. So we're going to talk now about the current state of art history survey courses. The traditional Western-focused regional chronological design approach of art history survey courses begins in Europe. So this is a kind of a crunched version here, but it gets my point across. It starts with European prehistoric cave paintings, figurines, and dwelling sites, and moves onto the path attributed to the evolution of Western art. This includes in order the ancient Near East, Egypt, the Aegean, ancient Greece, ancient Rome, late antiquity, and Byzantium. Then Western Europe becomes the focus through the medieval period, including the Romanesque and Gothic periods. Western Europe remains the focus from the Renaissance through the Neoclassical period, roughly the late 18th century, when we have the American and French revolutions, when the United States is also included. The focus on Western Europe and the United States continues through the contemporary day. And now I'm going to talk about that recent shift, which is that move to the more globally focused art history course that still involves the Western focus. So while recent years have brought increased inclusion of non-Western regions in these art history survey courses, the majority of the focus remains on Western regions and the path attributed to the evolution of Western art. This includes art history survey courses that I have taught and continue to teach in 2024 for our Southwestern Community College. So this is an example of a course outline for this more globally focused, but still Western focused art history course. This is my outline for ARH 101 or Art Humanities 101 prehistoric through Gothic art. And you can see that we start with that prehistoric art, and it's definitely in Europe. Doesn't really cover stuff that's even 45,000 years older from Africa. We move on to the ancient Near East, and we move through that timeline that I talked about. Between ancient Greece and ancient Rome, we get Arts of Asia, which is like 30 pages of a chapter for using the traditional textbook or one of the traditional textbooks. Then between late antiquity and art of the Byzantine or Byzantium, we get Islamic art, we get ancient America and African art having to be crammed together in 1 week. And you can see the focus is still very, very much on Western art and the evolution of the Western art body of work. Then we move on to the second survey course, and you can see once again, we just get a smattering of global art. We get in Module 7, later art in India, China, and Japan. We get native arts of Mesoamerica, South America, and Oceania having to be crammed together in 1 week. And then we get later African art. And the rest is very clearly Northern Europe, Italian, High Renaissance and Mannerism, which is Western Europe. And it goes through early 20th, later 20th century art, which is going to be in the United States and Western Europe, and then 21st century art, which is some global, and there's a smattering of global in later 20th century art, but it's really, really not much. So the limitations of this revised approach include the marginalization of non-Western art and the reinforcement of a Eurocentric narrative. Such a limited scope fails to acknowledge the equally important art of non-Western regions unless it is seen as important to the influence of the seminal Western art and art styles. So I have two examples here that I'll show you briefly. The first one is the influence of Japanese woodblock prints on the art of the French Impressionists and Post-Impressionists, encompassed by the French term Japonisme. So in these art history courses that are more Western focused, there will be focus on things like Japanese woodblock prints, which you see here, and then how they have influenced the art of the Impressionists and Post-Impressionists. So for example, we have the work of Mary Cassatt, we have the work of Edgar Degas, we have Henri de Toulouse-Lautrec. So you have these very seminal Western artists, and we're really focusing on the non-Western influence on these artists. And I have another example, but the Zoom bar is really killing me here. So I'm going to delete some of my tabs so I can get back to my presentation. Okay, another example is the influence of African tribal masks on Picasso's work, namely Les Demoiselles d'Avignon. And you can see here, this is in an article written about basically the influences. So this is Les Demoiselles d'Avignon by Pablo Picasso from 1907. And in what I learned about this piece and what I've taught students about this piece is, you know, when we're looking at non-European art, it's talking about like the African mask influences that were brought over and shown in an ethnographic museum that Picasso happened to see, and he decided to use that influence in the seminal work Les Demoiselles d'Avignon. But we don't get really more of that in even the more globally focused Western art history course. So now I'm going to talk about the rationale for a redesign or a chronological approach. So a chronological approach, in contrast, instead of focusing on region, focuses completely on a more traditional timeline. So this design approach allows for equal representation of art from different regions, fostering a more balanced and inclusive understanding of global art history. The chronological design approach also aligns with certain aspects of the Southwestern Community College's mission and values, where I redesigned the course for, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, and I currently teach these survey courses for. So the first half of the college's mission is to provide transformative and inclusive learning experiences that foster lifelong learning. The chronological design approach aligns directly with the inclusive learning experiences part of the mission. Additionally, it aligns with the diversity, equity, and inclusion value of the college. So now I'm going to talk about the course design process. I'm going to give a brief redesign overview first. So the redesign of ARH 101 Prehistoric through Gothic art for the Southwestern Community College occurred over the summer, this past summer of 2024, with the launch of fall 2024. So the redesign course is currently running. The redesign of the course involved the use of a chronological design approach, a new OER textbook to complement the new course design, and assignments that offer student choice and the need to analyze art from different periods and regions. So you can see here, this is the outline for the redesigned ARH 101 course. And you can see that it is not regionally focused. It is very strictly chronologically focused. So now I'm going to talk about the key components of the redesign process. So first things first, the new outline strictly focuses or follows a timeline approach, whereas the old outline was based on region and chronology. The new outline modules are typically 2 to 3 weeks in length to allow for a deeper exploration of each time period, whereas the old outline modules were typically 1 week in length due to needing to fit in all of the topics. Each of these courses is taught on a 16-week semester model right now. It was just a matter of condensing these to give students like a deeper understanding of the time period and more time to really look at the different areas and resources and take more time on the assignments that they were being asked to do. The new outline also allows for increased flexibility for both instructors and students in their exploration of these regions. The new OER textbook is the Met Haubrun Timeline of Art History. The organization of the course mirrors the organization of the OER timeline. And it was actually that image that I started out with that global focus. It was just the map that you can click on for each region and time period. And you can get those resources. The assignments in the redesigned ARH 101 course offer students choice and the need to analyze art from different periods and regions. Students can choose one of several options for certain assignments. And for the culminating assignment, the virtual museum exhibit assignment, students get to propose a theme of their choice that spans across time periods and regions, ensuring student autonomy and a wider lens for analyzing art than a more traditionally designed art history survey course can allow for. Okay, now I'm going to talk about anticipated outcomes and revisions, because as I showed in this course design process with the ADDIE model, which is just a design model that's very well used by instructional designers and instructors in general, there is that need always to be reflective and to anticipate upcoming revisions and use data to make those revisions. So in terms of expected data collection to drive revisions for the course, including in the upcoming semester, spring 2025, a few types of data will be collected, including student performance and feedback. Student performance on key assignments and feedback on course assignment instructions will inform these revisions. Potential revisions include the assignment instructions, namely the virtual art exhibit assignment, which spans the entire semester. This assignment is set up with a deliverable for each for each of the 8 modules. So they're building to that culminating assignment that they're going to be presenting to the class in the last week of the class, which is module 8 ends with. And to, of course, my surprise, because, you know, I'm going in and I'm designing this course and I'm like, these course instructions are wonderful and everyone will be able to understand them. If you're an instructor, you've definitely experienced this where students are like, this makes no sense. I don't understand what is going on. They've submitted something and it doesn't align with what you've asked them to do. So that is the biggest revision that's coming up, is going to be revising the instructions for these assignments. And I've gathered student comments and times that they've had to like redo it to get to what I'm asking for before they can move on to the next assignment deliverable. So that's the biggest one. And then in terms of broader implications, the redesign of this course serves as a master online course for the Southwestern Community College, meaning that if another instructor teaches the course online for the institution, the master online course template will be used. I'm also planning to redesign the second art history survey course, ARH 102, which is Renaissance through Contemporary Art, for the 2025-2026 academic year. Beyond the influence of this institution, other community colleges in the district may choose to follow suit with a similar design. And then in terms of my conclusion, tonight I have highlighted the current state of art history survey courses, the rationale for a chronological design approach, the course design process, and anticipated outcomes and revisions surrounding the importance of reimagining the art history survey courses for greater global inclusivity. I wholeheartedly encourage educators and institutions of higher education to consider adopting similar approaches to course design that promote a more balanced and comprehensive understanding of art history. And for my closing thought, the future of art history education is bright with the role of innovative course design at the crux of shaping that future. And of course, my references page, where would I be without that? And that's it. So I guess we are moving on to the Q&A now.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Broding. That was amazing. Me personally, I love art history. Take classes in course, college, and they're fascinating. Anyone have okay, awesome. Anybody have a question for Dr. Broding? A lot of thank yous.
I have several,
Okay.
which Dr. Brody knows me, so she probably knew this was coming. So I teach in the social sciences. I'm so excited to see some of our faculty here, but really excited to see how many students are here. If you are studying education, this is so important that we think about how information is given in an equitable way. And so I really love this. Has the new design been used yet? I didn't hear that if you said it has. And then also if it's been if the course has been redesigned and taught, I'm just wondering what the response has been from faculty and students.
So I redesigned the course over the summer and it's running for the first time right now.
Okay.
And I'm the main art humanities instructor for the college. So typically I'm the only one teaching these courses. So in terms of responses from students, it's mainly been, I'm confused by these instructions. A lot of these students are getting education, they're education majors at the community college. And oftentimes, because they have to take both of the art history survey courses, a lot of the time this is like one of their first semesters or their first foray into an online asynchronous course, and they don't really know what to expect. I've definitely had repeat students taking both of the courses. I also teach art of Asia and Mexican art history for the college as well. But I haven't had any students, to my knowledge, who I've had in another class and then in the redesign course, because all the other courses are designed very similarly. I redid the design in 2020 and 2021 with OER resources. So yes, that's been the main one, was these instructions don't make sense. Oh my gosh, what do you want me to do? And it's taken like multiple emails and like, you can redo this assignment for a higher grade, and then they'll finally get it for the most part, and then we move on. When I did because it went through this huge peer review process, I got a grant for it through the CTL at the community college, and it went through this very intensive course design process. I had to take a course simultaneously while I did it. I had to get the course learning outcomes that I wanted for specific assignments that were based on the student learning outcomes, which is what we call our course learning outcomes, and confuse me. Approved through the Center for Teaching and Learning and through the assessment committee. And then it actually got reviewed based on a modified quality matters rubric. So the feedback on that was pretty good. We'll see what other people have to say.